Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Big Big Train are an English progressive rock band formed in Bournemouth in 1990 and went through a number of lineup changes in the first 15 or so years in existence. Big Big Train has gone on to win several progressive music awards, has played numerous sold-out shows, and has seen a series of studio albums reach number one in the official UK rock charts and make the top 40 in the official UK album charts. On April 27th of 2022, Big Train announced singer and keyboard player Alberto Bravin. Say it correctly, Alberto.
Alberto Bravin.
Bravin.
But it's the same.
As their new lead vocalist, replacing lead vocalist David Longdon, who unfortunately passed away on November 20th of 2021. We're all going to miss him. He had an incredible voice after a traumatic fall at his home. With the band currently in the early stages of working on a new studio album for release in 2024, their latest endeavor, Ingenious Devices, features new versions of a trilogy of revered Big Big Train epic tracks. Big Big Train have also announced a run of live dates in the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Switzerland, and the UK. Where's the US? The tour will take place in August and September of this year. Please welcome Nick DeVirgilio, Gregory Spawton, and Alberto, go ahead.
Bravin.
Bravin of UK's prog rockers, Big Big Train, to Interviewing the Legend. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi. What's going on?
I interview a lot of guys from Norway. Try to pronounce those guys' names. Man, very difficult. First of all, I'm very, very sorry to hear about David. The main reason I was attracted to Big Big Train, it was his voice. He had one of the greatest prog voices of this generation, and I truly loved him. He had the same prog voice distinction as maybe of a Peter Gabriel, and his accident just demonstrates how vulnerable and fragile we are as a human being.
Most definitely. Yeah, it kicked us right in the head for sure. Nothing we ever expected. Phone call I didn't expect to get at 2 a.m. or whatever it was. So it's yeah, he was a special guy, had a special voice, and it was one of those things where, this is the way I look at it, me personally, was an experience that it brought us together as a family, as a family of musicians, but as a family of brothers and sisters, to make this great music, and it just built to a point. So all in all, it's sad as it is that he's not here anymore. He left us with a great gift of the music he already created with us and the potential for the future of this band as well. He gave us quite a bit that supersedes more than just the music we made together.
Yeah, it's a whole new era now for the band. And Nick, you're a great singer. You got a great, I'm sorry, not Nick. You are a fantastic singer. You got a great resume. I've heard you on the new album, and you're right. It's going to take a different direction now, I believe.
But all in a good way. It's all in a good way, man.
All in a good way, exactly.
Serious. We're waiting to get that momentum back, and I think we finally have the momentum on our side.
I think you're right. Wait till you hear my review on this album. You're going to be very pleased. Nick, first of all, I'm so glad you're here and I get to see you, because now I have the trifecta. I had Neil Morse on the show. I had Ross Jennings on the show, and the album Troika. Oh my God, that was a great album with all three of you guys, and of course it had a little bit of Crosby, Stills and Nash in there on a couple of tracks. It was a great album, and that was quite an achievement. I just want to say congratulations on that album.
Thank you. There's another one coming.
Really?
Ooh.
Is it done?
It's being mixed. I don't know when we're releasing it, but it's being mixed now.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are great, by the way. I love Neil. Neil's done everything on the planet, and Ross, with Haken and
He's a
everything
monster,
he's
man.
done. Yeah,
Their new record is just
it
on
is.
fire.
I did
Oh, it's
review
great.
that. It's a great
I
album.
saw them live a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, it was
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really
I'm
really
I'm gonna
cool.
go see them here when they play close to me. I'll see them the next couple of months somewhere.
He's singing like it's incredible. It's really incredible. It's really really cool. And the sound was great. It was like a small place. It was not a huge place.
Mhm.
The sound was really cool, and they played fantastic. So yeah.
This is
really
a
enjoyed it.
great time. People bash music nowadays, and of course, I'm not a fan of what's on commercial radio. But as far as prog rock, it's a great time. I mean, there's so many great bands out there now, and I'm loving the music.
Well, it was like there was Between the Buried and Me that opened for Haken at the gig. So
Right.
they are also a huge band for the prog metal thing. So it was a great concert just to see both of the bands play live. So yeah, and there's a lot of bands playing now.
There is a lot of there's
Everybody
a lot of
wants to
great
play now.
bands. Yeah, exactly. A lot of good talent out there, and the new genre actually is prog metal. They created that genre not long ago, and it's working good. It really is. Yeah. You guys have had a lot of lineup changes in the past, but I do want to say I was a big fan of Dave Gregory. I mean, I'm a fan of XTC, the Dukes of Stratosphere. He was such a good guitar player. Why did he leave the band?
I think the problem for Big Train is, well, it's not a problem, but it's a reality that we're just touring or aiming to tour a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave's a little bit older than the rest of us, and he just didn't fancy life on a tour bus. The more touring you do, the more the only economic way of doing it is to spend your life on a tour bus. And that wasn't something that appealed to him at all, having done all that with XTC before they sort of quit touring.
Right.
So that's the long and short of it. We're all big fans of Dave's playing. We're big on melody in our music, and Dave's a very melodic guitar player and brings lots of themes and motifs and all that lot, which are lovely. So that was the long and short of it. That was it.
I heard through Todd Rundgren, because he was involved with XTC, and I think Dukes of Stratosphere as well, that somebody in the band, or maybe a lot of the guys in the band, were afraid of flying, and that's probably why they stopped touring.
Yeah. I think I'll choose my words carefully here. A band with some interesting personalities in there. And I suspect probably that was Andy Partridge. I mean, they're just buzzing with talent, all of them.
It was Andy.
But I think there's just almost too much personality in the room for it to exist. And when you add Todd's to that as well,
right,
it becomes a bit of it did become, I know from the stuff I've read and heard, a bit of a bit of a difficult situation, to say the least.
Well, let's see. Ingenious devices. Here we go. This is what I said. Epic, heartfelt, cinematic, brilliant, 5 stars. And I sincerely mean that. It's a fantastic album. You guys hit a home run with it.
Thank you.
And I love the themes as well. I mean, they're redone tracks in a fantastic way. Leading off with East Coast Racer, which is a beautiful and epic track, and the orchestra behind these tracks now, man, that just added. It's incredible.
Yeah, to get that level of players recorded at Abbey Road on our music is just, it's more than icing on the cake. It really adds an element of just awesomeness to some of these songs, because those folks that sit in that room and play are like the cream of the crop up there. They look at the written music on the page and play it almost perfectly the first time they see it. They're sight reading this stuff most of the time. It's incredible. So they give it such great feel and vibe, and it's a great element to add to our music for sure. Be great if we could afford it all the time. Recording at Abbey Road is not a cheap endeavor, you know. So
No.
it's but it was cool to do. Man, was it cool.
Was there any of the old Beatle artifacts in there, piano wise?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The upright piano that's in Studio 2 still has all the cigarette burn marks from where John Lennon and Paul used to sit and just write songs and sing. I mean, they haven't changed any of that stuff. They haven't painted it or done anything to that room. It's pretty cool.
Everybody can play it, right? It's
yeah,
it's
open.
there.
It's
It's
all
there
there
to play it. Yeah.
That's very cool. The theme of these songs, they all have stories. Like East Coast Racer, I guess, was a train, right? And that was the Mallard liner class A4468 Mallard. It's a steam locomotive built in 1938, operational in London and Northeastern Railway. And it broke the record, right? It went 126 miles an hour, and that record stands today.
It does. I mean, mainly because steam trains don't run very much now, but it was. I've always been fascinated by mankind's ability to sort of harness machines and engineering to sort of extend our reach, whether that's going faster or going further. So the theme of these songs is very much that, you know, like Voyager is heading off into the solar system and or out of the solar system, in fact. Mallard was, East Coast Race is about the fastest steam train. Brooklyn's is about a guy that was trying to break all the speed records on water and land and everything. So it's that combination of, you know, human being and technology that we've found very interesting to write about. And we've found the fan base for prog rock is quite a literate fan base. They're interested in the stories behind the songs. They want to go deep, you know, they want to go deep into what we write about. So they really react to these sort of longer, more involved pieces. And that's why we thought Ingenious Devices would be a nice way of sort of bringing these pieces together in a sort of single release, with the bonus of having all of that Abbey Road string gorgeousness at the same time. So that's the story really behind it.
And of course, Brooklands, which is about a motor racing circuit in Fisher and then also in Surrey, which is another great story.
It's a guy called John Cobb, who was a motor racing driver. I mean, back in the days when it was really scary to be a motor racing driver. I mean, it's pretty scary now, but it was really, really scary then. And he also raced sort of speedboats, and he was determined to break the water speed record and determined to win as many races as he could at Brooklands. So he was based at Brooklands, which is this amazing circuit in the south of England, which is in pieces now. There's not much left of it, but it's very evocative when you go there. And John ended his days actually in a speedboat accident. He trying to break the water speed record, and his speedboat broke up, and it killed him. And
wow!
So it kind of, again, mankind harnessing machine, sort of heroic story, but it's also the story of a man that was very much larger than life. He wanted to he crammed a lot into his 40-odd years, and I think that's a sort of a lesson for all of us, really, that we just want to get our skates on and do things and do what we can with our music, and in the same way that those guys were doing what they could with with their technology and with their careers.
Every track, you can picture in your mind starts working like a movie projector, and you can see, every note creates a story, which I love, and that's what
thank you.
That's what prog's all about. That's why prog is so incredible, the music. Love it.
Exactly right. All of the great prog songs, from the 70s mainly, are very evocative pieces of music. When you go back to Supper's Radio, Close to the Edge, all of that stuff. And we're following, we're standing on the shoulders of those giants, and we're doing our very best to further the tradition of progressive rock. It's not the most popular form of music on the planet these days, but there's still people that love it. We love it. We don't run away from it. We embrace it, and we enjoy playing it. And when when you're on stage with these guys and we're nailing a 15-minute piece of music, and you get to the big bits, and it just feels great. It's a really good it's a really lovely thing to do with these guys.
I think it's epic. Prog music to me is epic. It really is. Yeah. I find myself interviewing more prog bands than anybody right now.
Oh, cool.
I can't help it.
Well, it's the music that kind of it seemed to have gone away, but it never did. And even in the days of punk in England, when prog bands were very they were not, didn't seem to be very popular. In fact, the ticket sales were high and the bands were doing well, and so punk didn't quite roller coaster everything away. And in fact, when you actually spoke to a lot of the punk guys, they were actually, a lot of them were prog heads anyway. They all came up through the 70s music scene,
right?
And some of them were like kind of pretending not to be able to play very well when they really could. Some of them couldn't play well, but some of them, I mean, like the Stranglers is a good band of people that really could play really, really well, and right. Were big prog fans, and you can hear some of that in their music sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of those punk bands were all, bar chords, and that was it. A couple of bar chords, and they're in.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was about bringing people into music that
right.
were perhaps creatively minded but didn't have the technique.
Yep.
But other guys were just kind of used it to be popular. That was the thing that you had to play at the time to do well.
Exactly.
So it's a sort of a mishmash of those things, I think.
Yeah, but Prague's got class. When you hear guys like Johnny Rotten talk, and you guys just listen to your beautiful British accent. I mean, you sound like a composer. I mean, that's that's the way it should be.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. I'm not sure I'm a very classy person, but I like to think the music that we make is classy, and I've got two classy gentlemen here to make it with, along with the other band members, and we do our best to to keep the tradition, to keep the flag flying, I suppose.
Yeah, you guys mesh so well together, which is great. You know what I love now? I love the mixture of violins and guitar in prog rock. I'm hearing more violin now in prog, which I love, because I love the violin. And I'm assuming that there are violins in Brooklyn, right? Because sometimes you don't know. It could be a synthesizer, it could be keyboards, No,
it's all proper string players. Good. We've got a great violinist in the band, and good. It's a good tradition. And King Crimson, PFM. Oh, yeah. There's a great tradition of there's also UK. Many of the great prog bands had violin. It's an extra texture, an extra sound.
Dixie Dregs. I mean, Kansas.
Right. Kansas. Yeah. I love it.
So we're fans. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of ironic though. But when your lead singer sings "I Was a Lucky Man," and then of course he has the accident, that was kind of hits home a little bit when he was singing those lyrics. But and then of course it reminded me of Greg Lake, from Lucky Man.
I mean, that's a very, when we were mixing it, that line, we knew that line was extremely poignant.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. And the character in the song is saying effectively, okay, life didn't last as long as it should have done, but I crammed so much into my time that he was a lucky man. And that's, unquestionably, there's a bit of resonance there with David. He achieved a huge amount. He almost got the Genesis gig. He was very close to being the lead singer of Genesis for a while.
Amazing.
And then he left music to have a family. He had a lovely family. then came back in and, you know, found a band that worked with him, Big Train. You know, we became great friends and colleagues and all of those things. So I think whilst David passed away far too early, he you know, he did manage to put, you know, a long life into his music and achieved a great deal.
Well, the music will be around forever, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons we wanted to carry on. I mean, you know, when David passed away, you know, at the time it was mainly me, Nick, and Rickard. You know, and we had a band meeting. Really, is it right to carry on? Do we want to carry on?
Right.
And we thought, you know, I mean, Nick's been in the band since 2007. You know, he's been here a long time. Rickard since 2012. So, you know, we've all put a lot of life and love into the band. You know, and so we felt that we owed it to ourselves and to the memory of David to carry on, and we just felt we needed to find the right singer to do that. You know, we weren't going to carry on unless we found the guy that could deliver for us. And I happened to be at a PFM show in London in 2015, I think it was, and I saw this young guy on keyboards singing just stunningly beautifully. And I didn't know his name at the time, but I just sort of made a note, you know, this PFM keyboard guy, amazing. And I went away and found his name, and just you know, for years I've been thinking about doing a solo album, and you know, Alberto's name, he didn't know this because he was in Italy at the time and had never met me, but I just had his name on my iPad. So when we decided, me, Nick, and Rickard, to carry on, his was the first name on my shortlist, and all of us put in names in the shortlist, and we auditioned a lot of people and listened to everybody, but this was the guy that you know, he just blew us away, really. And you know, it's funny, it's strange inviting somebody into a band, because you know, it's knowing they're talented is one thing, but also you've got to know that you're going to get on with them, and you don't really know that until you spend a lot of time with them. And we've spent enough time with Alberto to know that you know, he's a great guy as well as a great singer. So yeah, I think, you know, whilst the band has been through a tough time, you know, I think, as Nick said earlier, we've kind of, you know, we've repositioned ourselves, and we're doing everything we can to keep the music going.
Well, you got a great lineup of musicians, man. I'm so glad you're going to continue, because you guys are great. It's a great band. You've been around for a long time, and we need you. Music needs you, you know. Speaking of Alberto, I want to quote. I want to say something that he said about Atlantic Cable, and that was kind of your debut. It was your debut on this album, anyway. It was recorded at our second show of the tour last year. It's not an easy song to play at all. We were both amazed and relieved that we pulled it off so well. I experienced a real baptism of fire playing that show in front of over 1,000 passionate BBT fans. But the response to the song and the rest of our live set that night was truly motivating. So, yep, it all worked out all right.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it did. It was yeah. As Greg said, it's always like the music level and the talent of the people involved. It's objective. Like it's of course everybody. It's really a good player, singer, and musician at all levels, but it's the really the personal thing and the feeling of being there and being together and play together and play for an audience that it's used to listen to one thing, and then you present another thing,
right?
So it's of course it's a shock. It's of course a shock for everybody. It's a weird thing. So the gigs, the thing between us, like between the players of the band, went really well, and also with all the people in the theaters and that were at the gigs. They were so welcoming and really, really warm. So it was, went well.
we have an incredible fan base that has really supported us for a long time.
I saw that.
And they were gonna stick with us no matter what, which is, we already knew we sort of had that, because we're pretty we go at this with a purpose, and we really want to give our all to the fans who have given us so much. So when Alberto came in, and just, after everything that went on, I'm sure he was nervous, but from my perspective, Alberto kicked ass on the shows for sure. But the crowd wanted Alberto to do great as well. They wanted us to do a great job. And so it motivated everybody to just go out there and just go for it and have a great time. And that's definitely what happened.
Yeah, and they were happy that you guys didn't fold up as a band too,
I think they could see that we had already some chemistry between us.
Sure.
On stage, and we played like for a couple of days before.
Right.
We never actually played together, and not just with me, but there was Dave and Oscar, the keyboard player, and Claire, that never played live with the band. Actually,
it was quite a new thing. Yeah,
it was a new thing, and but we just clicked, and it was great from day one. So I think the people there that always, like, they are, of course, they know all the songs, and they follow the band like with all the heart. But it's like the Big Train fan. It's a Big Train like huge fan. they are really listening like only to Big Train. It's it's amazing. It's really incredible. There's no so many bands that had this kind of situation, because there's great bands but the people listen to everything. But the Big Train fans are really solid, and really they care. They care about the music, about how we feel, and how everything is done. So it's a great environment to be in.
It's also amazing that you can come in and learn all the music. I'm amazed by that, how you can come in and just learn their repertoire. How hard is that anyway?
Well, I got to tell you something. I'll interject here for just one quick second. Alberto didn't just show up with knowing the music. He knew the lyrics. He's played keyboards. He played guitar and some percussion. And he had, he might have had a few cheat sheets during rehearsal, but once the first gig started, I don't think you missed one lyric, as far as I could tell. Not one.
It's amazing.
So. That's pretty great. That's awesome stuff.
I was really, really nervous. All right, I was really nervous. I tried to be professional and not show that, but I was really nervous. But I don't know. It's there is in the progressive thing. It's weird stuff. It's or you got it, you have to have it, like you have to feel it. So it's like the jazz. Like I have some friends, like a friend of mine that it's like an incredible jazz player, and he play like, I don't know, he can play like, I don't know, he play guitar like Pat Metheny. He played the bass like I don't know, the greatest player. He plays drums like Dave Weckl, and he plays the piano like Chick Corea. Like he is the one of the greatest player that I know. But when he just texted me after he saw the Florentine, like our video, the live video, he said, how you can do that? He cannot like understand how we can remember all the stuff and and go through so smoothly in so big arrangements with this like the themes and the parts and like as if I go to see him play the piano or whatever, it's the same thing. It's how can you do that? It's it's really, so you have to really to feel it, and I don't know, I feel it like it's my thing, like the progressive thing. It's what I love, and so I just put all my energy in it, and it's
it was meant to be.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I grow up with this, so it's like this kind of music. It's really important to me. So I just, and I knew also that I was in a position that was really like
tough.
Yeah, it was exposing like a really exposed position. It was really difficult to engage with the people, because I don't know, they are like looking at you like, who are you? Or I didn't know. Well, anybody knows. I think it was like a big question mark, I think, for everybody, how this thing will go, and it went well. Like I remember, like in the theater, like when you sing or play in the theater, you have like the people are a little bit like distant, so you don't get it at 100%. But we played the Bordereye in Netherlands, where you have like the people like in like 2 meters from you, and there were people crying during the songs. They actually cried, like grown men crying during the songs, and listening to me singing together. It's a really powerful thing.
You do have that kind of impact, you know. You do have that voice, you know. It is very, very different, you know. And you do you do reach. It's very emotional. You know, I can tell that in your voice, and that's again, it's going to change the big train into a different level now going into the future. I can feel that.
I think it's a different thing because having a copy of David's voice, right, maybe sounded like more weird than it's sounding now. Like actually more. So it's having like a different kind of style, but the range, it's similar. Like we can both sing in a certain register, so it actually work, but maybe the character, it's different. It's really different, and I try not to copy his kind of style. It's really difficult, but I tried.
Yeah. The only other guy that kind of reminds me of like Phil Collins or Peter Gabriel. Do you know Nad Sylvan?
Oh yeah,
with Steve Hackett's band. I've interviewed him. He's so funny. He's eating dinner while he's talking to me and drinking wine. And such a laid back guy.
Nick, you know him.
You know Nad. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
He's got a good voice too. He really does.
Amazing.
And his solo album's excellent. It's really, really good. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy for all you guys that, venture it. Nick, you get involved. You're like Neil Morris, you get involved in so many different things. And so many guys that I talk to now, they belong to like 4 or 5 different bands, man. It's I've never heard this before, it's ridiculous. I don't see how you guys can keep up, man.
Listen, and it's great to always play, it's great to especially get the opportunities. And if the schedules work out, you got to go for it, and you got to try and, make a few bucks here and there too.
Right.
And it's just, juggling is sort of part of the musician's existence.
It is now. That's for sure. You have to,
I think like the pandemic thing.
Right.
Everybody like the kind of like this the kind of work when how the people work together changed.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
easier to reach people, and everybody it's used to just doing this like we are doing now,
Right.
and not meeting. So I think the opportunities are more now, just to and it's a positive thing, like all the musicians can do more.
Right.
And
It's true.
yeah.
I mean, do you guys ever get back into a studio? I mean, Abbey Road, you guys were all together, right?
The Abbey Road thing was before Alberto's time, but yeah, we were there together.
Okay.
We're actually recording the next album in Italy, in Trieste.
Really?
In May.
Oh, wow.
All
Alberto likes
in the
that.
studio together. We're going to try not to drink too much wine and eat too much pasta, but we'll probably fail.
Well, you can't help that.
We've never recorded together, other than doing some live performance stuff. We've never recorded together as a band.
Isn't that
in the
crazy?
same room.
Wow.
We've always, because I live in the States, right? Everybody's in the
Yeah.
UK. There was records in Sweden, that kind of stuff. So we've always been sending files back and forth and stuff. And so with this new record, we thought, man, there's got to be a way that we could get together in a room and see how
Sure.
we gel going to tape. I mean, it's got to be a cool thing because, and we're trying to, and it's just a new vibe for us. And so we thought, well, why not Italy? Because that would be cool. And Alberto's hometown is gorgeous, and he's got some studio contacts there. So we're all going to convene in his city for a week.
Awesome.
And lay down some tracks, and the whole band's coming. I mean, it's going to be the whole lot of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be
That
great.
would be great. Yeah, it will be great, I think. Yeah, because you can just like having the vibe recorded.
It's important. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and actually just write stuff on the spot, because if I have to send an email to Nick, and Nick had to send an email to it's days of, but if you are in the same room, it's just let's try this now, and you can do it.
Do it. Yeah.
How about a live show, since you're going to be in Italy, at one of the ruins, kind of like Pink Floyd did at Pompeii or something? Yeah.
Well, Greg, it's a good idea. Ruins.
It's a brilliant idea. Yes, there's
live album.
That would be a dream come true. I mean, there are lots of Roman remains or ruins that do host gigs, aren't there, Alberto? So, I'm sure that we can get an outdoor festival there. We are actually playing in Veruno, or near Veruno, Revislate, I think it's called. So we are playing our first Italian show in August, September. So that's part of the tour. We're headlining a festival there, but we want to return. I mean, to be honest with the three of us, I mean, Alberto's full on Italian, but both NDV and I have got Italian roots as well. So we're all determined to play as many shows in Italy as we possibly can do. And if we can get to Rome and all that, then I'll be a very happy man. So let's we'll work on that soon.
And for the tour, we have another guest joining us, Maria Barbieri, who's Napolitan, and she's an amazing guitarist, and she's going to sub for our guitar player Dave. So we're going to have just this crew of Italians, Italian love in the band for us. It's going to be really good. And Maria is kicking ass, boy. She's doing great. She posted a video of her practicing one of the tunes on Facebook, my song Apollo, and just burning, sounding really great. So that's going to be a nice addition to the band for sure on our live.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
She's really great.
I want to mention how great of a songwriter Greg is. On Voyager, which is a very great track. I love it. Beautifully written. I'm going to read some of the lyrics. Heading further out to reach uncharted shorelines, setting sail for the distant stars, the wonder of new worlds beyond the next headland, over the far horizon, out into the open skies to find out what we are, how far we've come, how far we can go. We need Captain Kirk in there somewhere. We need Shatner. And, William Shatner's really into prog rock.
Oh, yeah.
He's done a lot
Well,
with Billy
maybe
Sherwood.
he'll.
He is, yeah. He did actually. He did a progressive album, right?
He did.
He's
Yes.
done- yeah.
Yeah. He likes prog rock, and that makes sense. But that's beautifully
I'm
written.
not sure
man.
he'll be joining the band anytime soon.
No,
To be honest,
no.
I'm a big Carl
Going to
Sagan
Mars.
fan.
No, the moon. No, where he went to the moon, like.
Oh yeah, he did go into space.
He
Didn't
did.
He
He
did. Yeah, he
did.
did.
He did.
Bless him. No, I'm a big Carl Sagan fan, so a lot of those lyrics are sort of drawn from that idea of
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I loved Carl
For the
Sagan as well.
universe.
I loved the way he talked. Billions
Yeah,
and billions.
yeah.
Johnny Carson was a big Carl Sagan fan as well. He was on the show a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Amazing human being. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this album, is that July 28th? Is that when it's officially coming out?
I think sounds about right. Something.
Why
like
so
that.
long? I'm not
well,
complaining.
actually,
I already have it, but
It
It
just
takes
takes
a,
it takes
it's vinyl.
forever to put these things out these days.
really,
One of the biggest things we always have to deal with making new records is how long it takes to make vinyl.
right?
Vinyl takes like 4 to 6 months to manufacture. So we have
Wow.
to put that in the plan
Huh.
and sort of like, make the promotion and all the talking, and how you trickle out songs and stuff and get people excited and pre-order and stuff. But that's the biggest hang up, is that it takes
Mhm.
so long to get vinyl manufactured.
Yeah, and everybody wants vinyl now. They
Yeah.
say vinyl beat out CDs for the first time. It's coming back. I'm seeing a lot of people buy the old rack systems again.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're buying the old, Pioneer or
Yeah.
what I say,
Macintosh.
It's a romantic thing, isn't it? Vinyl,
is.
but it's a bit of it's not the most efficient way of listening to music. But then
Right.
sometimes I think because you have to interact physically with it and put the needle on the vinyl, I think maybe you focus on it more rather than just have it on in the background.
Right.
I think that's probably it. But you can't beat holding a vinyl album. I've got, we've got Ingenious Devices has arrived on CD, but
Mhm.
we're still waiting for the vinyl, and it won't feel real until the vinyl versions are in our sweaty hands.
Well, I'm an old guy, I was from the 60s. So we used to go to record stores, and it was like a church. We'd spend hours at a record store, and we picked new bands based on the record cover. That's how I picked
Yeah.
out Supertramp and Crime of the Century and Lady Fantasy, Camel. It was all from the album covers, back then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I miss those days, Dave, man.
That's another thing with prog rock, I think, is the attention to detail on
Right.
the album covers. We went when we met in London last year. We went to Battersea Power Station, which of course is the Animals Pink Floyd cover, and it's completely iconic. And I think that that you've got to wed the music to the visuals. You've got to make something that people really want to own. And because it just makes them feel more part of it makes them belong more. I think it makes them feel more of a connection with us. And we always meet the fans after the shows and stuff. We're very we know. I used to love that when someone a band would come out and say hi. So we try and do all of those things because that it's the band won't thrive unless the fan base is it's on our side. And we've been very, as the guy said earlier, we're very lucky with our fans, and we want to keep that relationship going and build on it.
I was so impressed. I covered John Mayall here in Sarasota on his 80th birthday, and I got to spend some time with John Mayall. But he set up his own equipment. He sold his CD. He autographed for everybody. I mean, he was so. And the guy's a legend, I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't have to do that, but, and he's, he's in his 80s now, I believe, he just stopped touring.
I think that's the thing though. I mean, I think if you get, for those bands that are at the megastar level, I mean, Nick and I went to see Genesis at their last show,
Right.
it's only about a year, actually almost about a year ago, wasn't it? And, because NDV has some very good connections, we went backstage and had a really good meet up with Tony Banks and the guys. But those guys, I mean, there were 20,000 people in that room, so they can't go out and meet people after. So at the level that we're at, it's something that we can do. But more importantly, it's something we really enjoy. We don't, it's not a chore for us. It's a really nice thing because our fans are generally just absolutely beautiful people, and just making that connection with them is important to them. It's important to us, and we're lucky that we're just kind of at that right level where it's not, it's just about right. We'd like to get, we'd like to be bigger and play bigger shows, but it's pretty cool for us right now.
Sometimes bands don't know how important the music is to their fans. I mean, when Phil Collins kind of went top 40 out of Genesis, and he started putting commercial stuff out there, he was doing a lot of covers. And there's a lot of people that got really angry at him. He got death threats and all kinds of stuff, which was horrible. But they took the music as Genesis. It was like a religion. It really was. And sometimes the artist doesn't realize how important it is. I mean, the music gets a lot of people through a lot of bad times. It really does.
It does. Yeah. It does. It really is important to people. And we get emails from literally all over the world, saying, that something's happened in their lives, and a song of ours is connected with them. So it is very important. And I was a little bit grumpy with Phil Collins when he released No Jacket Required. But I don't think I sent him any negative.
It was you, Greg.
It was me. But yeah, so you do. I know what it's like, and I think the problem is, nobody owns a band, and they've got to do what they want to do, and that's exactly right. And the Genesis guys, they came out of soul and that sort of thing in the late 60s. So I kind of, looking back, I can kind of see why they did what they did. But yeah, I still think Invisible Touch sucks, and and I'll say it.
Well, Steve Hackett has stayed true, even on the solo stuff. He really has.
Actually, he has. But if you go back and listen to some of his stuff in the early 80s, he did the same thing that everybody did. There's a short period of time when he made a couple of albums, and we all would have done it. We were all, if we were around in those days, we probably would have panicked. And PFM made some really poppy stuff. It's kind of quite cheesy Euro pop stuff, I would say, if you don't mind me saying, Alberto, before your time, I know. But so I think every band, Camel did it. They all did it. And that's
it was a thing there.
Yeah,
right.
The record companies were just being too short-sighted and just telling them they had to go and make pop singles and all those. And those guys that wasn't what they were for. They weren't very good at it. There's some great pop bands out there who can make great pop singles, but you don't, that may not be your forte if you're a rock band. So, it's horses for courses. There's a room for all of us, I think.
I think Pink Floyd got away with it because they had a top 40 hit with Money, which was still cool, a cool song, and then everything from the Wall was good. It would, nothing really kind of sold out, like a top 40 hit.
Well, actually, it's a very interesting point you make there, because I know they were sent out by the producer to go and listen to some contemporary music, and and Dave Gilmour came back with that kind of funky guitar thing, which is a brilliant bit of playing. But they managed to Pink Floyd it. It's accessible, but it sounds like Pink Floyd. Right. So they did get away with it, but they did end up completely hating each other, which is not a good thing either. Whereas the three of us here and the rest of the band, we really do. I'm not speaking out of turn here, boys. We really do like each other, don't we? We have a good time, and we look forward to being together, and
we'll stay that way.
Things. So it's great.
Sort of.
You got to be careful. You all got Italian in you, and you hey.
Well, we do. Yeah, if we had this conversation after a week in Trieste, we might be.
A lot of hands going.
I was actually a top 40 DJ back in the late 70s, And I got to admit, you guys, in my opinion, made a great top 40 song. If top 40 was only like it used to be. You know what song that is? On the last album. No, the album before that. 2 albums back. Common Ground. You know what song I'm talking about?
No.
It's a hit.
No.
Strangest Times. That's a hit, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Right? That could be on the radio easily.
Yeah.
And you didn't
I think there's a more than one song of ours that could be on the radio. It's
but I just put that
so
one
hard.
out.
It's such a racket to get a song on the radio, and
I know.
And you're basically just bribing people all the way up the chain to get on the radio. And
it's terrible
until you get your way in, and then probably happens easier after that. But it's it's a hard thing.
It is.
Oh, and it's always been a hard thing to get on the radio.
Yeah, true. That is true. And then there was payola back in the 50s, early
consultants
60s.
And all this stuff. I mean, just that's why bands never made any money, because they were, all their budget was going to pay other people to try and get them a radio hit and stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah. You know what? Strangest Times kind of had kind of a Joe Jackson feel to it, right? A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of Joe Jackson, a bit of Elton John in there, I think. So yeah, it does have a good. Well, yeah. I mean, if we were alive in the 70s, which of course is the greatest of all decades, then I think Big Train would probably be. I think we'd have had a good crack at success along with the other big prog bands then, because I think we're songwriters. We're not just noodling for 20 minutes. Even our longer pieces. At the core of everything we do is our songs, and we're all huge Beatles fans.
Mm-hmm.
One of us in particular is the biggest Beatle fan in Italy. I wonder who that would be. So that it's in our DNA. It's that songwriting thing is just a huge part of what we do. So even if the song's 20 minutes long, it's still a song, and it's still, we want bits that people can sing along to, and good choruses and good, the whole damn shebang. That's what Big Train is all about for all of us, I think.
And you got such a cool name. Who invented the name, by the way? Where did that come from?
Right. It came from, it was a train set I had when I was a kid. And actually you're the only person who's ever interviewed us who's ever said it's a cool name.
It's a cool, I love it. I think it's a great name.
You do, because nobody else does. So thank you for being a fan of our name. I think well, I mean, I've always said, was the Beatles a great name for a band? No, I don't think it was.
Right.
But it's the Beatles, so that's it. You grow into your name. And, if we do, there's 2 bigs. So let's hope we can go bigger.
So did you have a big train set? Is that what happened?
Yeah. I played with it as my family were on the railways. So,
oh, cool.
It was bought when I was like 6 or 7. They bought me this train set, and it literally had Big Train written on the front. And when it came to band names, that was thrown in the hat, and that's the one that people like the most. So that's it.
Nick, Alberto, does he still have a train set?
Not that I've seen.
There's nothing wrong with that, Neil Young had a train set. Frank Sinatra had a train set. It's a good hobby. It really is. Yeah, and expensive too.
Hey,
2 things I got to mention.
There's
Cruise to the Edge. You guys are going to be on Cruise to the Edge. Oh, no,
yes.
What was that? Let me see. Greg, what are you holding up? Oh, you do got a train.
This is a train that my granddad, John, would have worked on. So that's why I've got this one.
How old is that?
I think Phil Collins is like a train set nutter. I'm not really, but I do have the odd train around the house.
They're worth a lot of money too. Yeah, they're collectibles.
Yeah. Some of them are not my train set, but Phil's was for sure.
Of course.
I could see Phil wearing that choo-choo train hat, like a
Casey Jr.
And then of course Ringo did that show for the kids, right? What was it called? The Conductor, Thomas the Conductor.
Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah. He was, and that's bizarre. Have you heard of that, Alberto? Thomas the Tank Engine? Do they have that in
Sorry?
Italy? Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, I don't think so.
It's a kids show, and Ringo Starr did the
Oh no.
he was the
Really?
guy, the narrator in it.
Oh,
Bizarrely.
wow. We'll check it out with my daughter.
It's great. My grandson grew up on that. He
Oh,
loved
cool.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids liked it.
It was awesome. So Cruise to the Edge, which is awesome. You know, all prog bands want to be on this this Cruise to the Edge thing. And they're every time I talk to somebody, they say, "Do you know anybody that can get us on Cruise to the Edge?" I just had recently I had Rob Cottingham from Cairo, Ariane Lucasen was on. They all want to be on Cruise to the Edge. Stuart Nicholson from Galahad, all prog guys, you know. But you've got Marillion, who I've talked with, Flying Colors, Steve Hackett, PFM. That's going to be unusual, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Your old band's going to be on there?
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Are you going to go over there and sing a couple of tunes with them, or
I don't know. I don't know.
You got the Flower Kings, Riverside, which is a great band. I think they're from Poland, right? They're from Poland. Yeah. Huh. That's going to be fun. Have you done this
It's going to be
before?
a total blast. We've been waiting to get on that cruise for a long time. We were set to go on the cruise pre-pandemic. And we
Mhm.
also had a pretty extensive U.S. tour booked around that cruise.
Right.
That obviously it all got taken away from us because of COVID and all that stuff. But so it's been a long time coming for Big Train, and it's gonna. I've in particular, I'm super stoked that we're gonna be on that gig, and we're one of the headliners. So we're gonna have a nice big theater show and really show off the band in a big way. I think to the people. We're gonna do I think we're gonna do a pool stage set as well, which will be
Wow.
more low key, just fun. And that's great as well. But to at least have one show where we actually perform with the lights and the smoke and the fog and the drama, all that kind of stuff is going to be really great.
Awesome. Well, good luck with that, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. One other thing I wanted to mention, Between the Lines, there's a book out you can pre-order. It's about the band.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
So that came out, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It was a bit of a strange idea, really, to make a book about a band that's not, Genesis or whatever, but we thought it might be nice to do it. We found a really good writer, and now we've got an interesting backstory. We've got it's been a long story, and it's a lot of people say to us, you talked about some of the guys you've interviewed recently, and a lot of people say to us, how did you get a prog band into the top 40 in the UK charts? How did you do that?
Yeah.
So because it's not very, it doesn't happen very often anymore. So the story actually is quite interesting. And when you bring sort of converging stories of NDV's backstory and David and everything together, it actually was much more of an exciting project than I sort of expected it to be. And I'm a very bookish person, so I love having books, and we're going to update it, in a couple of years' time when we've done a few rounds and tours of our own here. Then we'll be doing a new version of it to continue the story.
Maybe after the next couple of albums, a documentary. That'd be cool.
Well, it's already happening. So we're working with a guy called Tim Sidwell, who does videos for Marillion. He's done some of their documentary footage, and he's making a documentary about Big Train. So he's coming to Trieste.
Good.
He'll be filming some of the studio performances there, some of our recording stuff. In fact, Albie is coming over in next month to England, and we're going to be doing some recording session work here, and he'll be there for that as well. So, I mean, I've been watching. I absolutely love rock documentaries.
Me too.
And so to have someone on board who's a really good filmmaker, to sort of capture behind the scenes and to really capture the story of the band as it tries to kind of regrow from the blow that the band had. It's been a very interesting project, and it's kind of knowing when the documentary needs to, when to put a break point in and say, oh, that's when we're going to sort of go to print, because the story continues. But so he'll be with us in May and also in our September shows as well.
Very cool. All right, guys, here's your final question. And I ask everybody this question. I get some really interesting answers. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be? Alberto, you want to go first?
I don't know. I'm a huge Beatles fan,
right.
so
Which
I'm
one?
gonna go to. Actually, I'm gonna go to with George Harrison.
The George, really? It's always
Oh,
Paul.
yes. No.
Yeah.
Like a different answer.
Right.
George.
Good answer. Good answer.
Just chill. Maybe just chilling with George.
Oh, just chilling with George? Okay.
Just chilling with George. Extreme stuff.
It's funny how bands are like fans. I talked to John Anderson, and his big thrill was meeting a Beatle. I believe he met George Harrison, and he didn't know what to say to him. He was scared out of his wits. I said, John, you're the lead singer. Yes. What's wrong with you? He says, but he's a Beatle. He's a Beatle.
Yeah. I think it's frightening.
So funny. All right, so we got George Harrison. Yeah. Nick?
Well, gosh, a ton of artists. I mean,
name a couple.
It could be anything from, like, I would love to do one gig with like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Really?
Yes. Would be super cool to do. I would love to be on the stage with, maybe, I'm going to go all over the board here, but I'm a huge Judas Priest fan. I would love to be on the stage and rock with old school Judas Priest. Just once would be really cool.
Interesting.
You mentioned like Chick Corea, some like monster like Chick Corea would be killer. I mean, there's so many. To just Elton John would be cool. I watched a live gig of Billy Joel from like the 80s. He played out at Shea Stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, so simple things like that would totally just wind me up for sure.
Right.
But listen, I got to live a little bit of a dream just this last November, December, where I got to tour with Steve Hackett, and I played 9 shows with the Steve Hackett band. And that was sort of like living that dream of playing with Genesis, because he's the guy, right? And we played all those old songs. So I sort of kind of got one of those bucket list things checked off from playing those few shows with him. So there's a ton. There's so many artists I would love to work with. There's so many great. That's what makes music so fun and great.
Exactly.
There's so much out there to enjoy of all the styles.
I live my dream every day when I get to interview guys like you. All the guys that I grew up with, went to concerts with when I was a kid. I mean, all of ELP, all the guys from Yes, Ian Anderson. You name it.
Awesome.
And now they come right to me because we got Zoom.
Great.
I don't even have to go to the concerts, man. Okay, Greg.
No Genesis.
Madonna. I'll go with Madonna.
Madonna.
Well,
actually,
Taylor Swift.
Sorry, Albie, I'm going to disappoint you and go with a member of Genesis. So I'm going to go with a guy called Ant Phillips, who founded the band with, he hasn't been on stage for many, many years, and it'd be really cool to do a gig with him, or just to sit down and play 12-string guitar with him. So that I'm going to, so apologies for the slightly obvious answer, but that's where I would, that's where I'd like to, that's my fantasy band lineup.
I love his solo albums.
Some amazing solo music, and I've met him a couple of times. Lovely guy, he's a huge influence. I've got poor old Alberto's keeps saying, do does this have to be on 12 string, this bit, because it's an important sound to me. It's
It is.
in my sort of DNA. So
Yeah, I've been trying to get an interview with him, but no luck yet so far. Maybe he's kind of a, quiet guy and, just hanging out and chilling out. I don't know. But I'll keep trying. Definitely keep trying. I want to say
I can.
Uh-huh.
I'll ping him and see if I can set something up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of prog fans would like to know what he's up to lately,
Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah, but you should definitely talk to him. Sure.
They still play his music too on Morrow.com. I listen to Morrow a lot from France. Yeah. That's a good station,
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
They play a lot of your music, by the way. A lot of Big Train.
It's a very good station.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
What station is that?
Morrow.com.
How do you spell that?
MOROW.com. They're from France.
M-O-R.
They play a lot of new stuff, a lot of new prog material, which is
All right.
very
I'm gonna
important.
check that out.
Yep.
Nice.
Very, very good. I want to say, of course, very special thanks to Nick Shelton, for arranging this interview with Big Train. You can pre-order your album Ingenious Devices, which will be available July 28th, but you can pre-order it now. I believe it's www.burningshed.com/store/Big Train, or just go right onto your website for more information, which is www.bigbigtrain.com. And you guys are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube,
All of it. Yeah.
everywhere. Your tour actually starts. You got a tour starting in August, right? Is that right? August 26th?
Yeah.
Right. And you'll be in Europe, mostly in Europe. I see Norway, Sweden. Norway and Sweden are big in prog rock. Very, very big. And of course, you'll be in Italy in September. Switzerland, Germany. Wow, we got a pretty good tour going around Europe.
Denmark, Holland.
Yeah.
And the
Finish
UK.
off in London. Yeah. Excellent. And one of these days you'll be in the US and hopefully come to Florida where I'm at.
Be good.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
I mean, hopefully next year. I think that's what we're planning to do. So yeah, hope to see you then.
Awesome, man. You guys are incredible. Love your music. Love every album that you guys ever put out. Great things are going to happen to you in the future. The best of luck to you guys. Okay. Thank you for being on the show, man. I
Thanks, man.
really appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.